Hello and welcome to Chapter 8, Section 3. Today we are learning how to factor x squared plus bx plus c. This process is the exact opposite of how to do FOIL. So we're going to we have 2 terms times 2 terms, and these 2 numbers multiply to get this, and they add together to get this. 5x plus 2x equals 7x. What we need to recognize is how to do this backwards. To recognize the fact that I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply together to make 10, but that add together to make 7. So if we look at x squared plus 7x plus 12, we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply together to get 12, that add together to get 7. And those 2 numbers, if we look at all the numbers that multiply together to make 12, these 2 also add together to make 7. So we're looking at one set of parentheses with a 3 and another set of parentheses with a 4. And if you go back and check, we have first is x squared, and outside is x times 4, and inside is 3 times x, which equals 7x, and then last is 3 times 4 is 12. Going back to double check if one of them doesn't make sense is the best way to make sure you're doing them correctly. Just as soon as you come up with an answer, just double check to make sure. And that's going to get difficult when these are not both addition problems. So when they're both adding, you know that both of these are going to be pluses in your set. So let's do one together. I need 2 numbers that multiply to get 60, but that add together to get 19. Well, 60 is 6 times 10, that's not 19, and it's 20 times 3, and that's not 19, and it's 30 times 2, and that's not 19, and it's 15 times 4, that will make 15. So I've got an x plus 4 and an x plus 15, and that's it. Give that a try for checkpoint number 1. Pause here, give checkpoint number 1 a shot on the bottom of page 560, and come back when you're done. So here are the 2 problems for checkpoint number 1. I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply together to make 24, that add together to make 10, and that's going to be 4 and 6. So I've got x plus 4 and x plus 6. Here I need, well, this is the problem that we just did, so you're good. Congratulations. All right, next problem. 8 is 1 times 8 and 2 times 4, and that's the one that equals 6. So we're going to do x plus 2 and x plus 4. And the next problem, 1 times 6 and 2 times 3, that one. X plus 2 and x plus 3, and it is factored. So then they start to throw a monkey wrench in it. What happens, and remember this is ax squared plus bx plus c, so this is a, this is b, this is c. What happens when b is negative but c is positive? That means that both the numbers in the parentheses are negative. Because when you add a negative to a negative, you're going to get a bigger negative, but when you multiply a negative to a negative, you get a positive. So the rules for finding this are still the same because I'm still adding these and to get this, and I'm still multiplying these to get that. So 16 is 1 times 16 and 2 times 8, and that's the one we want. So x minus 2 and x minus 8. And we're going to check to make sure that works. X times x is x squared. x times negative 8 is negative 8x, and negative 2x, and positive 16. And this makes negative 10x. So we did this right. So the rules still apply, but both of these are going to be negative. Now remember, that's when this is negative and this is positive. So try the checkpoint 2 problems in the middle of page 562. Pause here and come back when you're done. So in checkpoint 2, I've got plus and plus, so the answers are going to be plus. And my numbers are 2 and 6. In 2b, I've got a minus and a plus. So I know that both my numbers are going to be negative, and they're going to add up to 5. So this one is correct. Then they're asking, when C is negative, it's subtraction. And this could be positive or negative depending on which number has the biggest one sign. Let me explain. We have to come up with two numbers that multiply together to get 18, but subtract to get 7. So 18 is 1 times 18, that's a times, and 2 times 9. Now check that out. Those two numbers subtract to get 7. And because when we multiply them together we get a negative number, one of these is negative and the other's not. That's why when we combine them, it's going to subtract because the signs are different. And the question is it negative 2 and positive 9 or positive 2 and negative 9? Well, I want my answer to be positive. So the biggest one is going to have this sign. So it's going to be negative 2 and positive 9 to give me that positive 7. So when I do my parentheses, I've got x in both of them, and one of them has a minus 2 and one of them has a plus 7. And when I check to make sure, x times x is x squared minus 2x plus 7x. That's a 9. That's a 9. That's a 9. And then negative 2 times positive 9 is negative 18. And these combine to make positive 7x. X squared plus 7x minus 18. So these are correct. Let's do another one of those. Here we have one where C is negative, but B is also negative. So again, we're going to have a plus and a minus, but this time the larger number is going to be negative because my answer is going to be negative. So for 24, 1 and 24, they have to subtract to make 5. 2 and 12, 3 and 8. This one subtracts to make 5. So is it negative 3 and positive 8 or positive 3 and negative 8? Well, I want my answer to be negative 5, so the biggest number has to be negative. So I'm going to be positive 3 and negative 8. So x times x is x squared plus 3x minus 8x minus 24. And those combine to be minus 5x. So we're good. This is the hardest version, but if you can keep them track and if you can take it through the steps, you'll be okay. So try checkpoint number 3. And pause here and come back when you're done. So checkpoint number 3, This number is positive, but this number is negative, so these numbers are going to have to subtract. And I have 5 times 3 is 15, but because my answer is going to be positive, then 5 is going to be the plus number, and 3 is going to be the minus number. Here I have C as positive, which means the numbers are going to add together, but they're both negative. So this is going to be 4 and 2. Negative 4 plus negative 2 gives me negative 6. Here, C is negative, which means it's going to subtract. And my biggest number is going to be negative. So my two numbers are 2 and 10. 10 is going to be negative. 2 is going to be positive, so that I end up with a negative 8. So let's go through some general rules for factoring. And this is when A equals 1. Write that down and we will explain it better tomorrow. Essentially, we don't have a coefficient in front of x squared. It's just x squared. It's not 3x squared or 5x squared or anything like that. So, first rule, when B is positive and C is positive, then you are the two factors of C add together. When B is negative and C is positive, the two factors of C get added together and both are positive. When B is negative and C is positive, the two factors of C add together and both are negative. When C is negative, factors subtract. The sign of B is the same as the sign of the biggest factor. And these notes will help get you through your test. And if you need me to walk you through any of these examples, let me know. Or you can rewind the video. Our first few examples were this one. When B is negative but C is positive was the example x squared minus 10x plus 16. This one. And then when C is negative, it's subtraction. That was this one. But remember, it could be negative over here as well. But all you do is check for C being negative to realize you have to subtract the factors. Okay? If you have more questions, let me know.